In this video, we're going to check out the new camera monitor feature in CineTracer 2. We're going to be working in our new pre-built apartment that you can see here, and we're going to look at some of the new practical lights that are now possible to add to the scene so that we can end up with a scene that looks something like this. Great, so let's create a new project and we'll see that the maps page is a little bit different. At the top we have stages, and these are mostly just empty stages as they were. They're inside, they have space lights, still no sun and sky yet. This one with the two cycs, and this one generally what we should be using if you're going to go build a set. This is our biggest stage so far. Next, we're going to look at our sets. These are our pre-built sets. We're going to be making a lot of these. The newest one is the apartment 2 that we're going to be working in today. And these are work in progress. They need to be, they're more like concepts at this point. We're going to turn this one into a bit of a rock venue for doing DMX lighting stuff in the future. So let's go ahead and use apartments, and we'll call this project 1 and create. So here we are in the new apartment set. We'll see that there are a couple windows. This is our living room and dining room and kitchen. Back in this hallway, we have our exit, which there's not much out there. And we have a very small bedroom with a window and then also a small bathroom here. The design of this may change a little bit over time, but we're not going to change anything major about the structure or the furniture. For a quick reference, if we hit E to go to editor and we fly out of this space, we'll see that outside of this is just our normal sound stage. It's actually a little bit taller. The stage itself isn't really finished, but this is a new style pre-built set that we're trying out. So it's a little bit of a work in progress as well. So we'll just kind of no clip back into the apartments, but just for context, that is what is outside. And let's go over how we use the new camera. To start, I'm going to hit E. We're back in editor, tab, and we're going to grab an actor. I'm going to put her right here, facing this way. Then I'm going to grab a camera, and I'm going to scroll with my mouse wheel to give it a little bit of a rotate, bring it up. And so we have a new button up here, Show Monitor. But let's go into the camera for a second by clicking Pilot Camera. And it's the same controls as the editor. We're going to left click to focus on her. Just get a shot that we like. And then I'm going to hit the back button, and we're back in editor. And the camera has been moved right there. So what we can do now is click on our camera and click Show Monitor. And now we're going to be able to see a little picture-in-picture of what this camera can see. It's not the exact same quality, and there's no depth of field, but it should help a lot when it comes to art directing. So I'm going to left-click the camera to deselect it, and you'll see now that if I move our actor, we can now see where she is in the camera view. This is pretty mandatory for doing layout and for lighting at this point. So with our camera monitor up, we can do quite a bit here. And let's take a look at some of the new lights. So I'm going to go into lighting now. So it used to be here. And this grip equipment, just for reference, is pretty broken with lights right now. The redesign sort of made these like not work very well. So I'm not focusing on these a lot right now. But what we do have now is an entire lighting fixtures menu here with subcategories. So these are the traditional lights here. These are good if you want to do lighting cues and work like film lights. But what we're going to look at today are the slim box lights. And also, these are from before the linear lights. We also have some new practical lights that we're going to look at when we make this scene for nighttime. And wall lamps doesn't have anything in it right now. So for the daytime, let's take a light like this 2x4 here. And when we click it, it's going to orient to the floor, the wall, the ceiling. So you just kind of like point it where you want it to go, and hopefully it will help you get it there. When you put it down, what you can do, if you haven't seen this before, is if you click the yellow dot, click and hold, it will do the same behavior. So I'm clicking and holding, clicking the yellow dot, holding, and it will go, I did the gizmo in that case. It's going to go to the wall and the ceiling. So this is our designed like fast way of moving things around. So that's a funny place for it. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to try to use it as sort of like a motivated edge light from the window. So, this is what happens if we do this if we're like inside of an object. It's a little tough in this like small apartment, but I'm going to grab the yellow dot and we're going to place it here. And I'm also going to then scroll my mouse wheel, which will rotate it. So we have this overlight window here but you'll see that it's like a little bit too big. It's getting in frame. So this is supposed to be a 2x4 matte light from whatever manufacturer. And we can see that it's kind of too big to fit in here. And that is why we have a 1x4 and also a 1/2 foot by 4 foot. So I'm going to use this smaller one here. I'm going to spin it and then bring this out over here. And this one's going to do a lot better. This is also a really common technique on set, is to use a light about this size for interiors. It's very common these days. So now we can look through the camera and we have our kind of over window light, and we can crank it all the way up with intensity. It's not a very bright light. We might allow it to be brighter in the future, but for now it's tuned roughly for where we would like it to be for an interior. And we'll see that we're adding a bit of an edge light to our actor here. We're just going to let it be really bright so it's a little bit more obvious. So another feature that we added in this update is duplicate. So if we select an object and then we hit C, we're actually going to duplicate that lighting, that object with the settings. So that's going to help with set design as well. So I'm going to grab this by the yellow dot, and it's going to kind of like orient it here. I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel, and we're going to put another backlight so that it looks like we're getting light from this window. And again, this is a common technique on set in the real world, is to add these sort of thin LED lights, most likely LED. I guess they could be fluorescent from back in the day. About over the windows, right? So they're going to kind of reinforce and be motivated from that window. Again, we have this very bright, but I'm going to turn this one down a little bit now. And even this one, we can kind of turn it down. So we basically have some edge lights here. And I guess what we could do is kind of turn them off. We can see that the scene's a little flat. We still have the nice window light and everything, but this is going to add a little bit of edge light motivated from these two windows. To finish this daytime demo up, I'm going to use, you'll see we have some very big ones. I would recommend using these and not using this at the moment. This one's not the best. These ones are much better now. I'm going to use a 4x4, which is pretty big, and you'll see that it just kind of like automatically sticks to the wall. And I'm just going to turn it on. It's going to be really bright. Right here's like blowing everything out. And we're going to want to just like tune it down like this. So it's a pretty soft source here. We could also bounce it off the wall, but that's not what I'm going to do right now. And so this is very much a preview render, but it should help with art directing and placing lights and kind of seeing what's happening. We can select the camera and see a full view here. So not the best framing and not quite in focus either. And it's a little bright. I'm going to drop my ISO down to 100. And, you know, we can pick an angle that we like. I'm going to do something like this. So I'm going to hit enter while we're in full screen here. And again, it was tab to hide the UI, in case you didn't know that. We're then going to hit back. So that is how we use the apartment set, the new camera monitor, and we light this scene for daytime. So what do you do to the pre-built sets if you want it to be nighttime? We're going to work on that now, and we're going to look at working with some practicals. So first, let's not lose the work we've done to scene 0, which I should call it scene 1, but it's called scene 0. We're going to make another scene. So we just duplicated everything that's in here, and we're in a completely new scene. What we can do now, if we want to control the lights of the windows, which I'll look this way, it'll be a little bit even more clear. Oh, look at this lens right here. We're going to click our space light, and we're going to go to one of these settings. And the one that we want is windows. So we have these controls here, and if we bring the dimmer all the way down, we have now turned off the white lights that were outside of the windows, and we've basically blacked out the set. So this is how we're going to get it to be nighttime in here. It's now very dark in there. This one still has this light on, which if you're interested to get to that light, it is bathroom, and you could turn it off as well. And this is how we control, in the pre-built sets, the lights that come with it. So we'll leave that one on just for having a little bit of work light. We're not really going to see it, but I'm going to leave it on. So we've turned off the windows, and now let's talk about adding some practicals to this set. So I'm going to start by turning off this light. And if you turn off all the lights, it will be pitch black. So careful about that. You might want to turn the windows back on in that case. So let's go ahead and turn on our monitor again. Let this thing kind of catch up. And you'll see that it's much darker in there. And let's add a couple practicals. So I'm going to hit tab. And actually, I'm a little bit in the wall. It'll be an issue with the way collisions work. So I'm going to hit tab. and we're going to start with some of these floor lamps. I'm going to go with this wood one here. These are all based on real world lights, and put it right behind her. And then again, with it still selected, I can hit C, and it's going to duplicate that light over here. So let's turn these two practicals on. I'm going to select both of them. And this light in the real world apparently has a height adjustment, so I added that here. And what we want to do is turn up the fixture intensity like this. So if you send it really, really bright like this, the lampshade itself blows out, and I'm going to bring it down kind of like to the middle-ish so that we can still see a little tone in the lampshade. And to make this look like it's like 3200, 4300, what we're going to do is bring the saturation to about 90, 95, something like that. And then we're going to bring this to a little bit under 30. And that's going to do a good job of making this look like it's kind of a warmer light. I'm going to deselect the camera. That happens really easy. Its hitbox is massive. And then what we want to do now is, instead of these backlights being motivated from windows, they're now going to be motivated from the practicals. So we're going to take both of these, and we're going to bring the saturation to the same color. And I need to give this like a color rainbow and make this like a little bit clearer that it's actually color. But for now, we have to read hue saturation, just like you would on an HSI light in the real world. And now we have a very warm scene. If you see a little bit of white halo, that's actually from the space lights outside leaking in. In the actual camera view, that is not present. It's just in the kind of the preview. So what we want to do now is look at adding a key light. I like the tone of this scene if you can get away with like a slightly darker scene, but we're going to use our same light here. And if we want to, we can start to brighten the scene up. Now this is, of course, like in the real world, it's going to push all this light everywhere. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to delete it. I'm going to save just in case this, something happens. And let's go ahead and grab one of our thinner lights. We're going to grab the old 1x4 again. So it's a little bit thinner. And I'm going to use the wall to help me get the orientation kind of close. And sort of like in the real world, we're going to position this light so that it doesn't shoot onto the background. One of the ways to do that is to get it really close to the actor so that the fall off is a little bit more controllable. And then another way is to rotate it so that it's sort of shooting into a wall that we're not seeing. And I apologize for this rotation gizmo. I'm going to be working on making it better to use. It is certainly very tedious to work with. I know this as I use it quite a bit, and I'm looking into new ways of writing a rotation gizmo. So we've kind of positioned this light now so that it's shooting into this wall, which we don't see. And this is all made possible because we have our camera monitor where we can see the effect of the light as we're moving it around. And it's like, oh, that one's in shot now, so we'll back it up. So definitely recommend trying this workflow. And now we have our night scene. So let's go look through the camera. How does it feel? It's not too bad. We'll put her in focus. And I'm going to just actually take a peek at some of the other practicals we have. So I'm turning the monitor back on, deselect the camera. That's the first thing you should do after. And one of the fun ones, I'm going to put it over here on top. Oops, as I go outside, is this new little lamp here, the table lamp, this one. These are all based on real world lights. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to duplicate another one. And when I select both, I'm going to bring them both up, and we're going to keep them, a little bit down. And again, if we go turn the saturation back up and stay a little bit under 30, we're going to get a nice kind of tungsten 3200 look for the scene. So we have those two practicals. Those are fun. And I do plan on creating quite a bit of these. They're very fun to add lighting to the scene, helpful for set builds. And then even though we can import models into CineTracer now, it will never quite work out trying to import a practical. These have to be programmed and need really specific materials in UE5. So this is very much my my side of things, is to build those out. And I think these first ones look really good. Now, each one of these lights is not cheap. I'll just say this much. Each one of them has an actual light inside of it. So unlike the space lights up here where I can have like 100 of them or something like that, these are pretty expensive. And so this is going to be testing the limit of your computer, how many of these you can have. This would be a good amount. You would need a pretty fast computer to be able to handle this amount for now. We'll see in the future. So let's go check out our final frame. It's kind of fun. We have these new practicals. They're very bokeh-y. And we have these ones here. So I'm going to kind of frame up. This is likely the thumbnail for the video. I like seeing the window outside because it shows that we're kind of using the new blackout system to make these pre-built sets nighttime. And maybe just a little bit more like this. And I'm going to hit enter and save this shot. So if we want to see both of these setups now, camera control is a little wild when you're in a set this small. We'll save again just in case, but we can go to scene 0 and see our daytime setup with our 2 backlights. And then we can go back to scene 1 where we have saved our night setup. It does take time for the lighting to like fully transition. So this is a really great way if you want to just keep playing with lighting setups and not lose what you've done. Not even getting into this animation system. This thing is still very heavily a work in progress. It does work, but it's a little buggy. Just keep adding scenes, change the lighting, save. Add a scene, change the lighting, save, and then just go back and forth and check them out. I will check you on the next video and would love to see anything that you build, liked on Instagram. So please tag @CineTracer. Be happy to check out that work and most likely share it. I'll check you on the next video.